Hello, this is Brian again. Decided to make a part 2. I felt like I kind of ended the last video here on the Elsinore Peak kind of in an abrupt fashion. It was getting close to 15 minutes, and I figured, you know, while I'm up here, poke around a little bit and see what kind of interesting plants we got up here. I can hear a lot of wind. Down this little fire break. I'm wondering if this fire break would lead, where it would lead. Well, we've got an interesting view right here. You see the Santa Rosa Plateau right over there. That's the Santa Rosa Plateau, the southeastern foot of the mountains. Pretty neat area over there. Got a large stand of Engelmann oaks over there. Are a rare species of California native trees, I guess Engelmann. Yeah, so you can see it from here. It's that lighter brown area. It's where there's a lot of native grassland still going there. So, and if you look carefully, it's kind of harder to see in the haze, but you can see a long ridge of Palomar Mountain, Eagle Crag, and there's a mountain in front of it, which is Agua Tibia Mountain. And of course, again, we got Lake Elsinore, we got the eastern slope of the Santa Anas. And if you notice, the eastern slope of the Santa Anas is a lot more abrupt than the western slope. The western slope is punctuated by lots of foothills, whereas as you're going down this way, there are a lot of smaller foothills and canyons in front of the Santa Anas on the ocean side, or the coastal side. And on the back side of the Santa Anas, it's a lot more abrupt as you're going down towards Temescal Valley, like Elsinore. So it basically just, it kind of gently goes, undulates up and up and up towards the high peaks, and then it goes down like a more of a sharp ridge. And that's fairly typical for a lot of California's mountain ranges, especially here in the Peninsular Ranges. We are a part of the Peninsular Ranges, as are the San Jacintos, which are over that way. We are a peninsular range. In other words, it basically follows the spine California. For basically from north-northwest to south-southeast. That's fairly typical, and it's also typical for the Sierra Nevada. So we do have some parallels to the Sierras. Gentler, whiter west slope. As you can see here, look at all the foothills way off in the distance. Those are all foothills of the Santa Ana Mountains. All those hills in the background. And you can see, it extends a very far distance out to our this is basically looking west-southwest right here. So you can see how wide the coastal side of the mountains is, and yet the inland side of the mountains goes down abruptly, and we're already down in the valley. Sierra Nevadas do the same thing. The west slope of the Sierras gradually goes up and up and up. Put that on my camera here. Sorry about that. Yeah, from the west, hits the big ridge line, and then it dips really far down to the Owens Valley. So I believe it's because this is a fault block range. A lot of fault block ranges do that. And the Santa Ana Mountains, I believe, are a fault block range as well. As we're looking around, we've got a nice assemblage of chaparral here. You can tell the chaparral is pretty low in stature because this area probably was disturbed within the last couple decades with fire, which is fairly common in chaparral. There are places in the Santa Anas where the chaparral is 8 to 10 feet tall over your head and actually is shady to hike through. Some of the trails are actually in the shade in the chaparral. That's where the shrubs have had more time to grow since the last disturbance. Here we are. We got some very common members of the chaparral here. We got birch leaf cercocarpus right here. Cercocarpus betuloides, variety betuloides, very common. Betuloides means birch-like, and the leaves are kind of similar to a birch's leaves. They're not in the same family. Birch leaf cercocarpus is in the rose family, and birch is in the birch family, Betulaceae. And we got a common shrub that's found in coastal sage scrub and on more open areas of chaparral. This is black sage right here, Salvia mellifera, and you can see it kind of looks kind of raggedy because it's in its dry season dormancy. We're probably some of the driest times of the year, late October. Today is October 29th, and you can see their seed heads right here. These are what carry the flower. These are what carry the flowers in the spring, and they're in the mint family, Lamiaceae. And then a shrub that you will come to know very well if you spend any time, basically any time in California chaparral, is the chamise, and this is Adenosoma fasciculatum. And the typical variety, which this is Adenosoma fasciculatum, variety fasciculatum. It's the most common variety of chamise by far. It's your typical foothill and lower to mid mountain slope chaparral shrub. It's your typical variety. The leaves are fascicled, fasciculatum, fascicled. And there's a younger specimen right here. Now I do have two other varieties that I know of. There's variety obtusifolium, which grows basically along the San Diego County coast to far southern Orange County coast. It's basically called the coastal chamise or San Diego chamise. And then I'm not sure if it's just a horticultural variety or if it's an actual variety, but there's variety prostratum, which is prostrate chamise, which grows along the ground. So that's another interesting thing, is chamise is divided into at least two, likely three varieties. Then we got Eriogona fasciculatum variety foliolosum, which is the inland buckwheat. Very common, very, very common chaparral and coastal sage scrub. And this dormant looking plant right here with the green stems, because it's still photosynthesizing, this is coastal deer broom. This is Acmispon glaber variety glaber. And a lot of times, most of the year, they look like brooms because they're dormant. And here we got an old rosette of a chaparral yucca, Hespero yucca whippley. See the seed capsules break open into threes, and these black seeds. Got these little black flat seeds, which is very common in yuccas. You can see the seeds right on my hand there. They're flat and they're hard. There was something down this way I wanted to take a look at. Very important in this area, in the chaparral. Let's see if I can find it again. It's another species of chaparral shrub. Here we go. Here it is. Big berry manzanita, Arctostaphylos glauca. In the heath family, the Ericaceae. And you can see, like most species, not all, but most species preset next year's flower buds during the summer and fall months, the year before. So these will be probably opening up during the winter, because a lot of these shrubs bloom in the winter, the Arctostaphylos glauca. And we got another species of manzanita right next to it. This one right here is Arctostaphylos glandulosa, subspecies glandulosa, which is the Eastwood manzanita. Two very common shrubs, especially Eastwood manzanita. Eastwood manzanita you're much more likely to come across here in the Santa Anas. Big berry is a little more scattered, but in parts you can find it pretty decently in parts of these mountains as well. If you go to Devil's Punch Bowl County Park in Los Angeles County, you'll see a lot of big berry manzanita there, and they can almost reach the they can basically reach the size of a small tree when they're old and not disturbed. Let's see. Here we go. Here's another common Santa Ana mountain chaparral shrub. The beautiful and venerable Ceanothus crassifolius, variety crassifolius. There are two varieties that I know of, and I believe I've seen both of them here in the Santa Anas. This one's variety crassifolius, and the leaves are, see, you can see they're very strongly revolute. They're curled. They're curled down. If you find one with basically all flat leaves, it'd be variety planus. Planus meaning flat. As you can see, these are our hoary leaf Ceanothus. Very common. I've seen these get to about 10-12 feet tall and form small forests. If you go hiking near the Ortega candy store, you'll take the Bear Canyon Trail across from the San Juan Loop Trail parking lot, pass through the sign that says Bear Canyon Trailhead, and you'll see these things about 10, 12, maybe even 15 feet tall, forming basically a small forest of really short-statured trees. So you come here to the Santa Anas to enjoy the chaparral. There's a lot of good stuff here. A lot of good stuff. Other species you can find here are, let's see, Toyon heteromeles arbutifolia, sugar sumac, rusovata. I don't see any right in this immediate vicinity, but you will find lots of those here in the Santa Anas. White sage, Salvia apiana. You'll find, let's see, scrub oak, Quercus berbertifolia. There are a couple of scrub oaks you'll see near the towers. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of scrub oaks here in the Santa Ana Mountains. There are so many varieties of shrubs here. So, very highly recommend coming up here, taking some time to get to know your chaparral shrubs, enjoy the views, enjoy the green carpet of chaparral shrubs. Just enjoy it. You get a pretty fresh breeze when you're up here too. So, I'm thinking about taking a ride over to Blue Jay Campground and seeing if I can find some interesting stuff to video over there. I mean, I've been there before plenty of times. It's always a beautiful area, but I guess I'll take a few pictures and then I'm gonna start getting ready to head back to the car and take a ride over by Blue Jay. Blue Jay Campground is over there underneath Los Pinos Peak. You gotta see it. I can kind of see the small peak right next to Blue Jay Campground. It's a small peak, peak 3520. Might take a quick climb up that too. So that's it for the Elsinore Peak. Hope you enjoyed it. I just had to make a second part because I thought it was this area is pretty neat. And we'll see what happens on the next adventure. Thanks for watching. I'll look forward to filming the next adventure up here in the Santa Anas.